Good afternoon, everyone. I am so happy to be here, and I want to start with make a few remarks, and then we're going to show about 20 minutes of the film, and then I'll be back to answer some questions. Hopefully you won't ask me any science-based questions, but luckily Carol and Peter are both here, so they'll be able to answer those questions if you have them. Since I was a kid, I wanted to be part of a movement. I was fascinated and always talked about the turn of the last century in Paris. I mean, that gave us Picasso and Gertrude Stein, or the Harlem Renaissance, where we got Langston Hughes, or even the punk movement in New York City in 1977. I don't know if it's because I'm a baby boomer, at the end of the baby boomers, and was born in '63, so I missed all of those things, but I always wanted to be part of a movement. And Peter Fikowski's book, and along with Carol Douglas, have created a movement. There is a movement here. I believe 100 years from now, they will look back at this point in time and talk about, teach this time period as the beginning of a movement that helped to save the planet. Wrong movie. The Eagle and the Condor is a documentary film created by Vic Comfer and myself. This film is from one of my colleagues who has worked on a number of environmental films, said to me when she was going through the film and helping me with some of the editing, said this film is kind of different in the way that environmental films or climate films usually are. We look at this through the lens of spirituality. We look at it through the lens of eco-entrepreneurism. We look at it through the lens of science. We look at this through a number of different lenses because we want to invite everyone to the conversation. We want to invite everyone to the party. What's been curious when we screen the film is people who sit on either side of that or sit on one side of that will say, I love this film. I want to help get it out. I want to put it in schools. Why are you supporting capitalism? Or they'll say, there's too much foo-foo stuff. Why all that religion? Or someone will say, too much science. And my response is, I want everybody to come. We need everyone to solve this problem. We need everyone's attention, everyone's input. So that's what we tried to do with the film, which is one of the hardest things to do in creating a piece of art, is making someone that speaks to everyone. So I'm going to stop talking now and let you see. This is a 20-minute excerpt of The Eagle and the Condor Unite. The Eagle and the Condor unite, and then afterwards I'll be back up to answer any questions you may have. Thanks.
The big boom, man crawls out of his mother's womb. A wretched smokestacks, they coffin to the sky. Raindrops fall, burn his skin in his eye. Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, brought attention to the negative impact of human interaction on the planet.
Just map it out for us.
We expect extinctions. Most of our ocean would be at temperatures that never seen before in the lifetime of most of the organisms. We would be expecting floods, rainfalls. Those storms we have seen in the last months would become even stronger.
Generations have been inundated with a dystopian and dire view of the future where our greed and need to dominate the earth have destroyed our ability to survive.
The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
The last 2 generations have been so inundated with the notion that the end is near, with psychological conditions like eco-anxiety becoming common. The younger generation has lost hope.
How dare you! You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth.
Global warming, global climate change, rising sea levels, and increasing CO2 levels have been observed since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. Man has been slowly and systematically destroying the planet's ability to support life.
Pollution in the air and the water, particularly the air, kills about 8 million people worldwide a year. That's more than all the people who have died from COVID by 2024. It's tremendously damaging to our health and just as damaging, if not more so, to species that we share the planet with. Their whole cancer areas, their whole asthma areas, and it destroys whole ecosystems all over the place. And the situation is dire. No scientists that I've ever heard of will publicly say that we'll survive on the current climate path that we're on.
But there is hope. We're going to meet individual scientists, entrepreneurs, spiritual leaders, and artists. And we're going to focus on a possible solution to one aspect of the climate crisis, the impact of and the removal of CO2, and a return to the pre-industrial eras of CO2 level in the air. There is hope. The ancient wisdom not only tells us it's our responsibility to care for and steward the planet, but it is possible to restore the planet to its natural state. Buddhism teaches us that taking care of the planet is a natural outcome of the individual practice in the principle of interdependence of compassion for all living things. Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, view humanity as divine stewards tasked with caring for the earth, not owning it. A responsibility rooted in scripture like Genesis, work it and take care of it, and the Quran, acting as guardians, emphasizing managing resources, responsibility, protecting biodiversity, avoiding waste, and ensuring justice for all creations as a sacred duty to the Creator. Let's see what other spiritual practices have to say about humans and the care of the planet.
Those who are not of the indigenous mindset have perceived ourselves to be separate from the earth and have carried out our lives and set up systems that have negatively impacted the rest of the ecosystem. A prophecy that comes out of the Andes, indigenous people of the Andes, and it's called the prophecy of the eagle and the condor. And this prophecy says that eons ago, the human family took 2 different paths. They split off into 2 directions, one being the way of the eagle, or the path of the eagle, which is the path of the mind, the path of the intellect, of scientific inquiry, and the other, the path of indigenous knowing and the path of the heart. And this prophecy says that there will come a time when the eagle people will become so strong that they will almost annihilate the condor people. But that then there will come a time, a moment, where there will be a possibility of these 2, of the eagle and the condor, coming together to fly together to give birth to a new kind of humanity.
Yes,
This is a prophecy. The prophecy of the eagle and the condor. I began to hear it when I was very young. So this is the union of the peoples of the North and the South, meaning the North, the eagle peoples, and the South, the condor peoples. In other words, at the end of the day is the beginning of the night.
We have always learned from the world around us. We explore, discover, and create. Imitating nature has literally given us wings. We learned from the flight of a bird, a plane, a dragonfly, a helicopter. We can make concrete from CO2 the way coral builds reefs. So how does Mother Nature remove massive amounts of CO2? Yes, trees and grasslands. Now consider ice ages. Nature removed about 1 trillion tons of CO2 from the atmosphere, the quantity we need to draw down now. She's done it again and again in the lead up to ice ages. That's why the temperatures dropped. How? Through photosynthesis, but mostly in the ocean. Nature boosts photosynthesis by replenishing a nutrient often lacking in the upper water: iron. When iron-laden dust blows from the land out to the sea, it fertilizes plankton, the tiny green plants and algae that form the basis for our marine food chain. As they grow, the plankton eat enormous amounts of CO2. Then, a lot of it sinks as it dies, storing the carbon in the ocean. This process is called ocean iron fertilization, or OIF for short. Ice ages take a while to develop, but volcanoes, underwater thermal vents, and other phenomena can also remove huge amounts of CO2 very quickly. Take the Mount Pinatubo volcano, which erupted in 1991. Mount Pinatubo blew aerosols, a fine mist of iron sulfate, into the upper atmosphere. Those particles reflected about 1% of sunlight for about a year and cooled the planet by 0.5 degrees. Something else happened after Pinatubo. Although we sent about 20 billion tons of CO2 from fossil fuels into the air that year, it soon disappeared from the atmosphere. The planet actually reached net zero emissions for over a year, and the carbon remained packed away. What happened?
The second thing that happened is that the ash, the thousands of tons of fine rock that got blown into the ocean, had a lot of iron in it. And it presumably caused a lot of photosynthesis, which pulled the CO2 down. The result was very exciting. In 1992, CO2 levels did not go up. This was the first time in decades that we had net zero. And we were emitting 22 billion tons a year of CO2. Something removed that much CO2. And all the evidence is that it was photosynthesis, because nothing else could remove that much CO2. So the result is that we're now, we call it the Pinatubo pause, because the CO2 rise paused.
The geological record shows 2 other volcanoes in the last 600 years had a similar effect, while many other large volcanoes did not. Fakowski sees the secret as this: the iron distribution, or iron fertilization, seems to have happened in a downwelling eddy, a large whirlpool that pulls water and what's living in it very deep into the ocean. So, the phytoplankton would have eaten the CO2, then been pulled down to the depths where the biocarbon, under tremendous pressure, dissolves in the water as biocarbonate, similar to baking soda, and remains there for hundreds or thousands of years. Fikowski's team is now working on biomimicry to replicate what happened after Mount Pinatubo. Fikowski calls this localized ocean fertilization, and it is expected to represent a huge advance in the effectiveness over previous generations of ocean fertilization experiments. They're applying for permits and planning a pilot project. If their hypothesis is right, a pathway becomes clear to removing many billions of tons of CO2 a year and to restoring pre-industrial CO2 levels by 2050.
To scale up the Pinatubo pause and to do it safely, this has been done by nature for 1 million years, so we think it's safe to begin with. On the other hand, you never know. And so, like any operation that's large scale, we have to monitor the ocean life and make sure that nothing is damaged. The things we need to figure out is how to both fertilize the phytoplankton so that they absorb CO2, but also what's called cyanobacteria, the nitrogen-fixing bacteria, which takes nitrogen from the air and creates nitrates, because all plant life needs nitrogen to grow, to build proteins. And so we think we know how to do it, but there haven't been experiments done to show how to do it efficiently and effectively, to do both, to fertilize the phytoplankton and the nitrogen-fixing bacteria. The second thing that's very important in this is to do it in a place, what's called a downwelling eddy. And so we want to do it in the downwelling areas so that the biocarbon that's produced gets sunk into the deep ocean where it will stay. And so those are the two main scientific issues, and through all of that, we'll be watching to make sure that ocean life is enhanced.
The Earth restores and renews itself. When we learn these processes from the planet and mimic these ideas to accelerate its healing, it's called climate restoration. Many of our eco-entrepreneurs are doing just that. The production of concrete creates 7 to 8% of the pollution every year on our planet. Next to water, it's the most widely used substance in the world.
Limestone, who knew? Limestone is basically formed by shellfish and corals building their shells. They build their shells out of calcium dissolved in the water and CO2. So through biomimicry, a brilliant scientist named Brent Constance figured out how do corals and oysters and other critters make their shells.
Brent Constance's discovery led to the ability for scientists to create artificial limestone that can absorb and retain CO2. New companies like Blue Planet are part of the entrepreneurial ecotech movement that are reducing pollution and are at the forefront of the climate restoration movement.
My name is Brent Constance. I'm CEO of Blue Planet Systems. And we're here today to see the first slab pouring of a new type of concrete. It consists of limestone aggregate that we've made here at the plant up here in Pittsburgh, California, from CO2 from a variety of different sources, from this natural gas-fired power plant right across the street, from a refinery down the road. Even direct air capture is represented in the limestone that we're using in this concrete.
There's a lot of climate anxiety, and I think it's well earned. All the media tells us about the disasters, the floods, the droughts, the storms, and so on. And the antidote to that is actually committing ourselves individually and collectively to restoring the climate, to produce the result that we all want. And the way we have discussed the climate has been, we're the good guys and they're the bad guys. Now, if you're conservative, that means the conservatives are good guys and the lefties are bad. And if you're on a lefty, then the lefties are good and the conservatives are bad. It's pretty silly. We're all in it together.
People often ask me if we're doomed. And I say only if we want to be. We have a choice in the matter. We have the know-how, the technology, and the financing to restore a safe climate. Just not a lot of people know about it yet. At the moment, our climate goal is still to zero out emissions, not to withdraw all that legacy load of CO2. So we need to create demand among citizens, activists, groups, and leaders to set climate restoration as our goal. Not just net zero, but net zero and restoring a safe climate. Climate restoration, the fact that we need to do it and the fact that we can do it is still a new idea. And it's starting to catch on large institutions, which is necessary for it to become a reality.
As we become more sophisticated about how individuals operate and how organizations operate, we're discovering how to make the system work for humans, for humanity. MIT established their mission to restore the atmosphere. And just recently, they said that their goal is to change the climate trajectory. When my parents were young adults and winning World War II, the message was, we are winning the war. We're all together to win the war. And we need to change our message now to we're restoring the climate. And there are things we don't know how to do yet, and we'll figure those things out.
I wouldn't be in business if there wasn't hope. The sheer amount of enthusiasm I see from societal level up to the individual. I mean, we go out into schools, we work with kids in STEM education. Everybody knows about it. Everybody wants to do something about it. I think now is a really good time to develop the tools and the knowledge and bring this forward. But I'm absolutely optimistic that we can fix this.
What gives you that hope and optimism?
I think there's an entire generation that's just more connected, that's more willing to roll up their sleeves and get stuff done. We've reached the watershed saying, okay, we can fix this. Now, exactly how, of course, that's the engineering companies come in and education comes in. We need more scientists, more engineers, more people with hands-on knowledge to go after.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
That was something that was essentially impossible at the time. There were so many problems involved, but it was very specific. And we knew that we risked failing at. And that's what made it very powerful. The amount of technology and innovation in that 8.5 years has never been seen before. So that we're saying we're going to give our children the same safe climate we had, which means getting CO2 below 300 parts per million, then we can fail at that. And once you know that you can fail, then you can take the corrective action to make sure that you succeed. When we're confident, we use specific language. I'm going to win that race. I'm going to have dinner done on time tonight. That language produces action. And I find that when people take that on and they commit to restoring the climate, their lives light up. It sometimes takes a while. It took me about 3 years. But once I committed to that, I got very excited. To shift our trajectory to restoring the climate is going to require leadership. The great news is we know how to do it. It's an exciting adventure, and we need everybody's leadership and courage.
Thank you. So that's a 20-minute clip of a 52-minute film, and our goal is to put it out there into the world and inform the average person that there is hope and that climate restoration is a thing. And one of the things that I was sitting back there thinking, and Carol said, what are you? I was thinking, one of the things I still have to write and put to the film is a call to action. And I was watching thinking just what that would look like, because we still haven't done that yet. And that has been one of the requests that people have been making when they've seen the film is, this is awesome, but what do we do? What's the call to action? And so one of the things we're going to talk about as a call to action is getting people to come to the website and sign the pledge. But I know I don't have a whole lot of time, so I want to open up to any comments or questions that people may have. So does anyone have any questions or comments out there? Yeah, there's a question right there. Yeah.
Where will it be seen? Like, will it be on EarthX Media, or is it going to? Where will it be?
So my co-producer and I, we have a couple of things we have to take care of, which is all legal stuff about filmmaking and licensing and all that sort of stuff. But the goal is that it will be released for free and hopefully it will be on the climate restoration site as well as YouTube. And we've been talking to some organizations like Rotary and other places that want to help distribute it. We just did a screening last Sunday, and there were some people in the audience who have some connections to some other international organizations that already want to share it. So we still have some stuff to do on the film. Filmmaking's a long, tedious process, and there's still a couple things. That was the other thing I was noticing, some things in the color correction that are still need to be tweaked and stuff. But by the end of spring, early summer, it will be available. Any other questions, comments? Oh, Peter, yes.
So Rodney, I just want to thank you for the film. Mm-hmm. It's been fun to watch the iterations of it. And as I sat here, I realized it's a lot like the whole process of climate restoration. It looked very, very different 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago. Mm-hmm. And it's a delight to watch your film evolve. So thank you for the hard work.
Thank you. Thank you for your research and your vision, because without that, there wouldn't, you need something to start the movement, and so thank you. Any other comments, questions? Oh, back there, yeah. Oh, over there. Oh, there's one over there and one over there. Okay.
Were you planning on doing anything in regards to like students, like colleges, or kind of bring that out more towards like maybe like as part of the curriculum?
There's talk of that. We have not developed the curriculum for it, but some of the people in the audience who've seen it so far in a couple of the screenings that we've done have wanted to do that. We certainly, one of the things I wish I knew about the youth climate restoration group, we would have put them in the film, because I'm blown away and floored. I would be so awesome, because having that voice of young people in there. But it will be available to everyone to use, and I don't know. Vic and I have not talked about whether we're going to write a curriculum for it, but I will say Vic and I have made 3 films together, and our first film, which is about secondary trauma, is used by a number of organizations around the world, including Red Cross, to teach people about secondary trauma, and they've all made up curriculums based on the film. So, and a little bit about caregivers. One of the things, art can change the world. With Caregivers, which was a documentary that Vic and I made about 10 years ago, which is about secondary trauma, one of our goals was we wanted to see an impact on mental health in the workplace. And because of the film, I'm from Philadelphia, the Philadelphia City Council took up the petition OSHA to add mental health to the workplace. It's an 8-year process, but because of the film, because of a piece of art, this legislation is in process. So our hope is that the same kind of thing can happen with climate restoration. Okay, I think there was a question back. Oh, right there. Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, we're out of time.
Oh, we're out of time? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I'll be sitting here for if you have a question you want to ask me, but thank you.